car, which I also used to own. This is a 1994 Mazda Miata. And yeah, what about Miatas? Yeah, Mazda took the old British recipe and made it more reliable and also more affordable for daily use, and made possible for people to have these cars who didn't have the money before. So how is the history of this car? Yes, back in the 70s, Bob Hall was asked from Mazda which car should they do. Yeah. He told them make an affordable small roadster. So Mazda started to work on several concepts. It was a mid-engine, it was a front-wheel engine, it was a front-wheel drive, a rear-wheel drive version. And in the end, the Californian Development Center won, and you can really feel this Californian touch. It's just like a wave, like a surfboard. The main shape of the car. So it's just very simple. But let's talk about this car. This is the 1.8 liter engine with 131 horsepower. Although it has some modifications like a 200 cell catalysator and a stainless steel exhaust system. So maybe it has a little bit more power, just slightly, maybe 135, 140. So what was Bob Hall telling them as well? That make a small roadster which fill all the boxes. Which boxes talking we about? It should be a lightweight, small, affordable two-seater vehicle, which is makes you happy while driving it, and easy to maintain, easy to look with generally. So Mazda took, of course, as Hall of the Fames, the British roadsters, and made it more reliable. And since then they produced over 1 million pieces of Miatas all over the world. In Europe it's called the MX-5, in Japan it's called the Eunos. And the most important market was, as always, the American. It's called the Miata. So, is it lightweight? Yes, it is. It weighs around 990 kilos. Is it small? Yeah, it's pretty small. I'm 191, so I'm almost not fitting into the car. And is it fast enough? Yeah, for twisty roads, definitely. You don't need much power for these roads. You can drive them anyway really fast, but you can drive them fast enough to have a lot of fun. And once you're driving them, you just get immediately in flow, which is the most important about these cars. You always get in flow, and it's so deep. You are just looking the curves, catching them once and another, and keep driving, and your face is happy smiling like the car does. The car face, the front, is also all the time just smiling. It's a very cute toy or cartoon face, like a pet as well. So yeah, it just makes you laugh, and it gives you a lot of fun to drive it. So let's hit a nice curvy road and test it out. So the key of this car is actually the light lightweight. And the sound. But the key is the lightweight, because you don't have to brake a lot, you don't have to steer heavily, you can just concentrate on the steering. You don't have to really push the throttle. And the sound, yeah, it just makes it all up. And yeah, this 1.8 liter engine, it's just enough for all these roads. I mean, listen this. Woo. Yes, man. And even this car, you are just over the speed limit immediately, so I won't see the points some of the supercars, because you only can use them really on a racing circuit. On the normal road, they are not usable. So let's turn back and make an uphill ride, because this is where the car really shines, the uphill section. Which also makes up a lot for handling. Oh, this sound, man! With some new cars, but you have to work all the time. You don't have any ESP, any traction control, nothing. Just ABS, which is kind of important if it gets wet, but otherwise it's perfect. It's that simple. Whew. So let's talk about the design. As I told you, it looks like a stone from the coast, or which the waves are washed out and perfectly shaped. And even as a child, I was a big fan of these stones, and I used to put them in my pocket. And this shape is also, I would put it in my pocket, because it's very simple. There is no edges, except if you call this line as an edge. So let's get to the silhouette of the car. Yeah, it's a classical roadster, which means it has a long bonnet and a short rear end. Yes, the dimensions are not extreme, but you get the recipe. It's a roadster. The car, through this stony shape, it looks very flat and low. And back in the days, probably it was completely new, because there was a lot of edgy cars, more rectangular cars, and this was back in the days a very soft one. But even it's a very soft shaping, the car has a stiffness, an optical stiffness, which means you have, for example, these rear arches at the back, which are very defined, or even on the front, how they shape these soft surfaces, kind of an arrow shape. So it also makes the car look dynamic and not too tough. So for me as a designer, it's kind of an interesting topic, how to create forms without any edges, because it's one of the hardest, because just put an edge, it defines something. It can be good, it can be wrong, but without any edge, it's like yeah, it's a sculpture. It's like how the water shapes, and most of the case we designer took the inspiration from the nature, and probably at this car was also the case. Just you find a stone on a coast and yeah, define the silhouette. Maybe it was the story, it's like how I read this design, so I'm not 100% sure how they define the design back in the days, but I can imagine like this. So let's get to the front, because these lights are the most iconic pop-up lights of the car industry, and also the cutest, the funniest. Every child loves them. It makes the car a very funny face, a very cute face, and you cannot love this car. You're just smiling all the time. So let's just close it and talk about the front a little bit. Yeah, as I told you, these simple stony shapes are continuous on the front, like these daylights or indicators on the front, and you have on the front this mouse, which is the air intake, which sucks enough air to the engine. It's very low, and the bonnet goes very deep. It wasn't the case back in the days with most of the cars. They had a much higher bonnet and a much edgier bonnet, and this had a very low bonnet. It's also a nice touch to have this power dome. Even it's just a 4-cylinder engine, probably it needs the air above it, and probably also more or less just a styling element. But again, this has also a stone shape, more or less, and it continues all the way around. The mirror cups also very smooth and simple and fitting to the design. Even the door handles, which is one of my favorite part of the car, like the favorite detail, they also look like a stone or a very simple shape. Yeah, it's just very simple and very defined, but it's also very easy to open. And it's a trick not most of you would know. If you want to close the car without any key, you just pull it the inside one, pull it the outside one, and it closed. So it's just a funny detail. So let's move to the back. Yes, the back of the car is yeah, you almost have an edge. Yeah, we can call it an edge. This is this small, almost like a ducktail spoiler, but it's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler. It wants to be a spoiler, but it's not extreme. It's just very soft, but slightly just show you. Okay, here is the end of the car, and yeah, the rear lights are, yeah, they got a little bit old, but okay, it's a 30 years old car, or even more, or almost more, so they can be a little bit old, but they also have this very simple shape as you check it. Also again, a stone or a very just a bubble, just very soft and smooth. but if you look some of the surfaces, you can see how they define a definition. So it's not just all the way a soft edge or a soft body. It has a clear definition between top and side, but it also flows together to one shape. And again, flow, not just the way how it drives flows, all the shapes are flowing. So it's probably also the message of the car. If you drive one of these, if you just look one of these, you get into flow. And yes, let's talk about some different topics. It's also design related, but these Miatas, one of the most tuned cars, or the easiest to tune. And some of those tunes look great, some of them looks funny, and some of them look awful. And back to my story, once I found this car, back in the days, I was really happy that it's British racing green. So it connects to the heritage, it's British. And I really like the fact that it has a black leather interior and not a beige leather interior. So it's more elegant. It's calmed down. It's like a British gentleman. It's a small British gentleman, would I say. So, and then I started to a little bit form to my taste, or to the taste, or the way how the car wanted to look. So I bought these NK RFP1 wheel sets, which are very lightweight and around 5.5 kilos. And it's really completed the optic. It also has this simple soft shape, but it still defines those holes. And yeah, it has some edges, but it's like a contour of the wheel houses and so on. So it perfectly fits the car. Most of the American customers, they also really like this option because of the lightweight, because of the look. It's an all-time classicer. I fitted some wooden elements, which gives me this classical touch to the car, like the wood steering wheel, the gear shift knob, and the handbrake. So let's talk about the interior, because it's also part of the show. So the interior, as the whole car, looks very simple, which is it's very important, because you are only concentrating on the driving. And let me show you some topics. So these two glade clusters are circled with the silver lines, or the silver detail, which can help you to concentrate to the most important information while you're driving it, the speed and the revs. So the rest of the interior is concentrated on this middle panel, which also very simple. You have all the way round elements where you can just control something, so it's very easy. Also those indicator elements on the steering wheel, they also had a very simple rounded shape. So everything round, it fits to the hand, just easy to find, easy to control, like these air channels to the interior. It's very simple, and you don't have to control here many things, just concentrating on driving. Okay, the steering wheel is not the prettiest, I mean the middle part, and it's also a 4-pillar, but yeah, we can say it's a 30 years old car, and it has an airbag. Some of the guys just switched the steering wheel to an RD. I'm going to link you, but in this case it's not the fact. The seats are from the MB, that's the next generation, and a lot of guys, as well as me, changing to these seats or even more sporty seats. But if you want to make completely retro and not original, yeah, probably you should go for another ones. So just let's catch some of my notes if I told you everything. Yes, just to finish all these topics. The first gen Mazda Miata is my favorite. And why it is? Because it's the most iconic one, it's the most manual one, and it's the cutest one. It's really fun to drive. Maybe the Andy, which gets closest to this car. And I can imagine in the future maybe there is a fully electric version with a lightweight battery, but we have to wait for that, and we'll see if Mazda makes it or not. It could fit to the whole story, but we'll see. Okay, so thank you watching my video, and please subscribe my channel desigmate. It really means me a lot. It also helps me to grow this channel. Also, please follow me on Instagram, the desigmate, and I try to find interesting topics, cars, bicycles, or just write me below what design topics you are interested. I'm very open for a lot of things which I also interested in. So thanks for your help, thanks for support. See you next time. Bye bye.